It's so freaking cold. I just want to ride my bike.
Hello, welcome back to MegaDave's world. I'm going to try something new here. I'm dubbing my voice in and I'm going to review what is probably the best purchase I've ever made, which is my Rize Blade. 1000 watt. Just a quick disclaimer, I'm not a Rize Bike employee, duh. They're not paying me anything to do this. It comes straight from my brain and my heart. Just kidding. I'm going to let you know my likes and dislikes of the bike, and you can enjoy some clips of it while I spew my guts out to you. Please like, share, and subscribe. Especially subscribe. I plan on doing a lot more videos with my brother. He's also my dirt biking partner, and he's crazy. Jimmy, I love you. Trying to get over 100 subscribers here to officiate my name with YouTube. So, really goes a long way to help or to subscribe to the channel. Plus I crash a lot, and who doesn't want to watch that? Anyway, here we go. My likes and dislikes of the Rize Blade 1000 watt. Okay, the first thing about the Rize Blade that I think I liked the most and what caught my eye right off the bat was the look, the style of it. How it's a smaller bike, it only has the 20-inch wheels. It looks like a dirt bike, kinda. Same sort of shape, same frame style. The frame is super solid. It takes all the abuse I put it through, which is tons of rocks and roots, and crashes, lots of snow, and it just overall, in my opinion, looks fantastic. There's not very many bikes out there like that right now, especially in Canada here. The seat. I know I've complained about the seat in the past, but it is actually probably better than any seat on any mountain bike you can purchase right off the bat. It is actually comfortable at first, probably for the good first 45 minutes, I'd say. And then it starts getting uncomfortable, but a mountain bike seat usually starts getting uncomfortable at about the 5-minute mark. I wear biking shorts underneath my pants or my shorts, which is spandex. A little embarrassing to admit that, but it actually makes the ride a lot better. But it does make getting ready to go biking a little bit more cumbersome, but whatever. If I just want to go for a short ride, like for an hour, I don't need to put on my spandex. Another thing I really like is that it uses common bike parts like the gear shifter and the handlebars, the pedals, the cranks. All that kind of stuff is interchangeable. Most of your local bike shops probably have a lot of that stuff. Maybe not the brakes the handbrakes, because they have the motor inhibitor. I think that's what it's called. So if you need to replace those, call up Rize. If not, you can bring it into your local bike shop. Probably my very favorite thing about the bike is the way it handles. It is like riding a mini motorcycle. Obviously not as much power, but the way that I can cut through the trees, that it has a really tight turning radius. It's very flickable, meaning that when you're going through the trees, you can really bring it back and forth and it responds quickly. A lot easier than my mountain bike, which is just a normal mountain bike, no motor on it. Using that 1,000-watt motor off and through the trees, you see I'm not pedaling because I can't stand up. You got to stand up if you want to ride it like a motorcycle. Not because there's no rear shocks, but that's just how to efficiently ride a motorcycle, is you're standing up in a attack position and using your leg for suspension, and you're able to toss you and the bike around very easily, and it makes it a lot of fun. It takes a little bit of practice to be able to stand up and ride, but you're not pedaling, you're just using it like foot pegs, you're using the motor, and yeah, you can fly through the trees. That's what makes it the most fun for me. One of the surprises with the bike that I didn't even think of when I was purchasing it was that it is actually incredibly easy to wheelie this bike. It takes practice, of course, but once you get that practice in it, it just has that right, or the right, I guess we'll call it a center of mass, that really helps you hold that front wheel up. I'm getting pretty good at it. I think my longest is about 100 meters, and I think the only reason why I can't do them any further is because usually when I get to around that mark, I'm so excited that I've done a wheelie for that far that kind of messes me up and it comes back down. So okay, another thing about the 1,000-watt motor is that it's attached to 20-inch wheels, which means you get a lot of torque out of it. If they were bigger wheels, you wouldn't get as much torque. You could probably make it go faster if it had larger wheels, but it has tons of torque because the wheels are small, and it makes climbing on this thing a dream. Almost any hill you point it at, there's a couple really steep ones that sometimes the grip will break loose before even the motor fails. So climbing on this thing, if you've ever wondered about that, is not a problem. Any bike path, we have steep hills around here in Calgary, and there is no issue at all with that. A lot of the times on some of these hills, you can still hold a good pace. Like I think coming up Nose Hill here in Calgary, it's a pretty steep climb. When I'm climbing it on my mountain bike, I think I usually can hold it at about 10 to 15 kilometers an hour. But on the Blade, I'm climbing that hill at 40. It flies up that hill. Another thing I really like about the bike is when you're riding, it's easy to turn in tight places. Like if you're going over an overpass and it has that switchback that's really tight, I can't do those on my normal mountain bike easily anyways. But on the Blade, I could just drop a foot and it turns on a dime. Like literally, it is an extremely sharp turn. And if it's even a tighter turn than that, like on a single track trail, you just pop the front wheel off and just step over the bike, and it turns around so easy. Super easy. Makes exploring that much more fun. Takes a little bit of practice for that skill, but once you got that one, you can go anywhere. Something gets too scary or too hairy, whoop, flip around, ride somewhere else. It's one thing you've probably heard before that's really good on Rize bikes in general, but especially the Rize Blade because of the small wheels. Probably the minis are probably the same way. Because of the small wheels and the brakes, they are absolutely phenomenal brakes. The newer versions, at least this one, don't squeak at all. I've never heard my brakes squeak unless they were a tiny bit wet and it just gave you a small chirp. But other than that, they work fantastically. You'll see as I ride, I have one finger over the brakes at almost all times, and that can bring me to a stop with just the one finger. You can't do that on bikes like that have the cable. They have too much friction in there, and you have to at least wrap a couple fingers around there to get them closed. And the Rize Blade is absolutely superior at doing that, even better than my Trek. I really like the security feature for the unlock, having that 4-digit code there. And it's not that somebody can't steal your bike, but it makes it a lot harder for, if they do, they have to come up or think of or try to go through 10,000 different passwords to try to unlock your bike. And it is not that easy to flip through there because it's just an up and down button. And let's say if you have like a 7 in there, they have to hit that thing 7 times. And then if you have a 3, then 1, 2, 3. And there's so many combinations that most people will probably get sick of it and can't put up with that. So it'd be hard for somebody to resell this afterwards for any kind of real money, I guess. That's just a good feature. I really like that one. And of course, one of the greatest things about Rize Bikes, not just the Blade, but Rize Bikes, is their customer service. I cannot say enough good things about that. They have been there. Anytime I have a question, even before I bought the bike, they were very friendly. If you need to buy something and you can't find it online, give them a call or email them. They always respond. I've never had a single problem with dealing with them. They're very happy to hear from you. They'll try to do everything they can to accommodate you. There's been a couple, I guess, horror stories, but people don't respond well if you're yelling and screaming at them. So I can imagine if they have to deal with people like that, probably doesn't go their way as easily. Works both ways. If you're polite, they're polite. If they're polite, you're polite. Everybody, they're very accommodating. They try to do everything they can to make sure that you're happy with their product. And the bike is put together very well. And it is sincerely the best purchase I've ever made. All right, now for the best part of the video, the dislikes, what I don't like about this bike. I'm not a big fan of this battery holder. It's only got 2 screws holding it on, and it's at least a 10-pound battery. And it's probably fine for most people that ride it, but the way I ride it, going through all those rocks and roots, and it's very rough, it's actually shaking these screws loose. And it causes the battery not to connect as well as it used to. So it's an easy fix. I use a couple tie wraps, or you can use some Velcro straps at work too. I gotta use those to make sure my battery stays connected, because if you're just doing some normal riding around, you probably won't have any issues at all. If you are having issues, you might have to just throw a tie wrap on it or tighten the couple screws in there if they'll go. All right, one thing I absolutely hated when I bought this bike, it came with street tires. I wasn't happy with them at all. They're one thing that's good about the street tires is you can corner on the pavement like crazy, like leaning way over. Don't do that while pedaling because you'll get that pedal strike. When I finally put the knobby tires onto the bike, it changed around its entire dynamics. It's like the bike came to life. I don't know why there was ever the street tires on it. I will never put them on again unless I have to, like I wrecked one of these tires and I don't want to sit around. The knobby tires grip the dirt and the snow and asphalt and anything much better than the street tires. Street tires are good for cornering and being a little quieter, and that is it. Also, the knobby tires are a little taller, so you get a higher top speed out of it. It used to be with the street tires, I could only do about 40 kilometers an hour, but when I put these on, the bike officially got up to 44 kilometers an hour. So even though they're a little noisier, it's definitely faster, and it is a far better ride. Oh, and another thing I really dislike about the bike is the fenders, but that is entirely my preference. I prefer the look of this bike without them by far. The fenders definitely have their purpose in slushier seasons or in the wet seasons. It'll stop you from getting a big stripe up your back. I hate the look of them on my bike. I don't care what other people do. For my bike, I don't like them. And you can see by my other video that I made there that I made up a quick, easy way to put them on and remove them. I think it takes me 2.5 minutes to remove both the fenders and 4 minutes to put them both back on with my little trick there with the tie wraps and washers. So check that video out if you want to be able to do that yourself if you dislike the fenders, because it's nice and easy to do and it looks way better, I think. I think so far I'm the only person I know that doesn't ride with the fenders on, but that's the way I like it. One thing you'll notice about the Rize Blade, or actually any Rize bikes probably, is that the motor makes a little bit of noise. It's not bad at all, I don't mind the noise, but it's definitely audible. Just something I guess you should know when buying the bike, if you're gonna buy the bike. But I think all these Bafang motors make noise. Even my wife's Rad Rover makes a bit of noise, just not quite as much. Next generation of bikes, I'd like to see some better suspension. Full suspension would be really nice, but better suspension in the front. This definitely does the job for average riding. It keeps it so your hands don't get vibrated and you don't get itchy hand. I don't know if anybody's ever done that when you're riding fast. If you don't have that front suspension, your hands from being shaken so fast can get really itchy. But I'd like to see some deeper suspension that responds well. Make it a little easier to ride with the style of riding I do out in the dirt. When you add stuff like better suspension, it definitely raises the price. It's nice to be able to get an upgrade for some of this kind of stuff. It'd be nice to have the choice if you wanted to buy the big expensive Rize Blade that came with full suspension and all the bells and whistles. You gotta pay for it, but hell, you're getting a hell of a bike. But that's not a deal breaker because I stand up when I ride anyways, and the bike handles phenomenally. So that one's just a nice have and not a deal breaker by any means. It's still an amazing bike to ride. It is a lot of fun. All right, one of my least favorite features on the bike. It's not a dislike. Some people like this, but one of my least favorite features is the cruise control. I know some people, they might love it. For me and the way I ride, I definitely find it actually hampers and causes issues because sometimes the cruise control kicks in after you've been holding the same speed for 8 seconds, and sometimes that can surprise you. Anyways, this is MegaDave's World signing off. Please, again, like, share, and subscribe. Especially subscribe and get those 100 subscribers. I'd be so happy. Might even make a little video about my 100 subscribers. All the people that help me out. I know 100 is not very many, but it is for when you're just talking about one specific product. It's really helping out, and I wanna grow the channel. I wanna make it more fun. It'll always be about the Rize Blade, but I want it to be more adventurous and about out there having fun. Not just about the bike. It's about how much fun you can have on this bike. Anyways, talk to you soon.